Well, greetings. It's the beginning of week 5, and we're dealing with the question of Jesus, a threefold question of Jesus to Peter, do you love me? I'm down at Klein Falls. This guy came up to my car, wanted a bite to eat, but I'm hoping that burly monster doesn't, or at least he leaves me alone as I'm shooting this video down by Klein Falls, which is not too far from the church. Actually, it's between Redmond and Eagle Crest, where a number of our people live from Zion. It's good to be with you. We're dealing with the question today, this transformative question, this question that comes to us as we are on this transformative personal journey through the season of Lent. Jesus asks Peter 3 times, do you love me? I made reference to that in the devotion today when I mentioned how Peter is the premier disciple. But he made the mistake several times of taking his eyes off of Jesus and even denied him 3 times in the courtyard. Now think about that. Think about that threefold denial of Peter in the courtyard, contrasted with the 3 times that Jesus asks Peter, do you love me, after he is resurrected. The truth about Peter's life is that he failed miserably. At the same time, Jesus forgave magnificently. And so Jesus may, by asking this question kind of strangely 3 times, may have been giving Peter a chance to redeem himself and declare his love for Jesus in such a way that he took the forgiveness of Jesus into his heart. That's what we need to remember about forgiveness. It's something that you have to take into your heart and have change you from the inside out. Now, what's important, what's really important in this week 5 is to look at the different words that Jesus uses when he says, do you love me? He says, Peter, do you agape me? Do you love me with a self-giving love forever? Peter says, yes, I phileo. Yeah, I love you. Yeah, we're friends. In our reading for today, Jesus asked Peter, do you agape me 3 times? And both of those, twice in our reading for today, both times Peter said, yes, I phileo you. We'll talk about the difference between those tomorrow. But Jesus understood Peter's answer. Yeah, I phileo you. We'll look at that more tomorrow. But Jesus was looking for an agape love. You know, an agape love is the kind of love of being head over heels for someone. When you're head over heels, you can't stop thinking about the other person. Your heart palpitates and you begin to sweat and you get passionate about the way you feel. You can't take your eyes off your beloved when you're head over heels in love, when you have an agape love where you're willing to do absolutely anything for the other person. When you have an agape kind of head over heels kind of love, you can't take your eyes off the other person. But that's what Peter did. He took his eyes off Jesus. Peter took his eyes off Jesus in the stormy seas and began to sink in circumstances beyond his control. He took his eyes off Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount, and Peter wanted success instead of sacrifice, and Jesus chastised him. He took his eyes off Jesus in the courtyard, and instead of focusing on his faith, he focused on his fear. Even in John 21, in our reading for today, Peter took his eyes off Jesus and put it on the other disciple, and he said, well, what about these guys? Why don't you ask them how they love you? John even writes that Peter was hurt by the way that Jesus asked him 3 times. And that's why maybe one of the biggest temptations that we have in following Jesus is to take our eyes off him, to lose sight of him, to lose our focus on him. Maybe that's why Jesus asked Peter 3 times, do you love me? Do you love me? And, you know, in I don't know, some ways, the way that Jesus redid the fall in Genesis 3 after the Garden of Eden, so Jesus now kind of undoes or forgives or revisits Peter's threefold denial in the courtyard, because Jesus wants to forgive Peter, and he wants to give Peter a chance to redeem himself, and he wants to save and redeem you. He wants you to give that, he wants to give you that second, third, fourth chance to turn to him and say, yeah, Jesus, I love you. I agape you. I want to give everything for you. You are given. Second chance, third chance, fourth chance. He's waiting for you. Do you love Jesus? I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.